What's going on YouTube? Today I'm going to be showing you guys 2 hidden buffs in the Elder Scrolls Online. Now these buffs are actually wholly unique because not only does one require you to complete a quest, which you might think, well Jake, that makes sense. Completing a quest, I get a 30-minute buff for doing so. But here's the thing, you have to complete the quest extremely specifically. So we're going to talk about that buff, which requires you to complete a quest, and then the second buff, which is in the same zone, kind of tied to a similar storyline, but it actually requires you to get about 1% into the quest, then you can get the buff. But then if you want to get the buff again, which they're both good buffs, don't worry, I'm not going to blue ball you, I'll tell you what they are in a bit, kind of one by one. You have to then just restart the quest. You got to start that bad boy all over again. And if you've already done these quests either incorrectly on this first one, or you've already completed and turned in the second quest, well then unfortunately you're not able to get these buffs. And these buffs are actually really good. They're used a lot for, people running perfected runs or people doing speed runs, trifectas, because they do go away if you die. But if you're doing something where you don't die, or you think that, you're going to be able to get a permanent buff, specifically for this first one, which is a 5% damage reduction buff, that's pretty helpful, no matter the type of content that you're doing on whatever character you're doing. That you could do that PvE, PvP, just running around, zipping and zapping through the woods. So that's the first buff that we're going to be talking through here. And to get started, you just have to walk and find yourself Cena. And she is over in East March, which for those of you who don't know is in the top right corner of the map. And I'm going to be showing you guys the quest, not the whole thing obviously, just the main pieces that you guys need to make sure that you complete on this quest. Or else, if you've already done this quest incorrectly, you're not able to get this buff ever on that character. So, let's make sure we do it right, and I'll show you guys what you need to do. Now, here is your first real chance to permanently mess up this mission. What you need to make sure you do, you don't want to intimidate this man, and you don't want to say that she's fine. We are going to try to cure her. This is imperative that you pick this option. If you've picked a different option, unfortunately, you will have a very different outcome on the quest. Your rewards will be totally different, and we want that 5% 30-minute buff, so we are going to try to cure her, which will also then lead straight into the second quest, which we are then going to work on. And there is just one other option that we have to make sure we select before we get to the buff. So if you accidentally talk to the individual outside, you just need to go down and continue on the hunter's portion. If you accidentally talk to him, it doesn't, mess up the quest or anything. You just have to make sure that you go and continue the quest line with the hunter's portion by splashing them and continuing that way. Final part of the quest that you need to make sure that you do very specifically, and that is we need to persuade Rala that she has to control herself. Like any man, we just have to tell her to calm down and explain it to her, because she unfortunately is a female vampire that just doesn't quite understand that she just needs to be persuaded. You definitely need to have the mage's skill line to do this. And for those of you who have been unable to convince a woman in real life that they were in fact wrong, it's probably because you don't have the Mage's Guild passive. So if you just, were able to acquire that, you'd be good to go. So once we do that, then we are able to tell her that she's better than this, and we are able to finish the quest traditionally. So we have just turned in the quest. We've completed the better of two evils, and you might think to yourself, Jake, where is my buff? And all you need to do is talk to Rala. And after that, you will notice that your hands are glowing a special color. And that is because you have just gained a stat buff. Ignore this one, though, because that's the one we're talking about next. But you've just gained a stat buff. You've reduced the damage you'll be taking by 5% for 30 minutes, which is honestly pretty great. We'll talk about the totality of these 2 stat buffs after we talk about the second one. So hold on to your hats, or hold on to your butts, depending on which movie quote you find more interesting and makes you more likely to like the video. But now let's talk about the second quest that you guys need to complete. In the northern part of East March is where you're going to find the second part of the quest. The closest way shrine is going to be Kyne's Grove, and you're going to be looking for Kralad. You're going to talk to him. He's going to give you a super simple mission where you have to find his missing brigade, and you're going to complete this mission up into a certain point. Now, I will just give you some basic tips. It does obviously help for you to have the Persuade. If you've done the first portion of this mission, you'll already have the Persuade thing, because you need that obviously if you wanted to get the permanent stat buff. And this mission is kind of a dick because it doesn't put a quest marker on one of the things that you need to complete. And so I'm just going to take you right there, because this annoyed the hell out of me when I was actually doing this mission on my normal character. When I was trying to just complete every, quest line in the game. There's actually a person that it wants you to talk to, but you have to read the dirty dialogue to know that you have to actually go do that. So, obviously that's disgusting. I'm just going to show you where this person is so you don't have to worry and read such drabble. But you're going to be looking for Leafnar up here, and she is going to give you a second clue. And now you can see that we have a new asterisk point under our mission, and that is after killing a certain amount of those bad boys up there near the hill, is telling us to use the key to open the dresser. So we will run back quickly, open that dresser, and that is going to take us to the final part of the mission that we need to complete to get this here buff. After you examine the journal, you're going to quickly talk back to the captain again, who is going to send you into the locked house. Now, this locked house is key to this whole operation. And there's actually 2 entrances, so I'm going to show you both of them too. So I will teach you how to save a lockpick on this mission, because the very few things that I've seen on this don't actually point this out. So you can enter through the back window, and you can see there's actually a healthy chunk of people here, probably all doing the same thing, and that is to examine the suspicious meat pie. One of the most interesting items in the Elder Scrolls Online, and secretly divisive, even though it flies under the radar a lot. Because once you eat this pie, you get the stat buff as promised. However, there is a bit of a trick to this. This is this one, unfortunately. You don't just get to talk to that lady over and over again. You have to actually abandon this quest and restart it to get this stat buff again. And I think that's why I really dislike this quest. Plus, the last one, you had to actually complete the quest to get the buff, and then you could go back. I did not like how you had to complete the quest in a specific way, because that meant if you didn't complete it the right way, you could never get that buff again. But this one's even more unique, because you can essentially never complete this quest ever. So you are forced to be in an endless running of the Shrine of Corruption. The Shrine of Corruption will never be fully explored, because every time you get to your cake, your pie, you're done. Now, it's also important to note that once you die, you do lose these 2 buffs. A lot of people, when they're doing content like Battlegrounds, or they're getting ready for some type of solo content or even group content, they will make sure that as a group, they grab the pie, they grab the other one, because obviously the pie is the one that's a little more intricate to get. You don't want the second one, it's just grab and move, and then they head straight into the content. Now, you might think 30 minutes isn't a long time. However, you got to consider things that, like in Sanctum Sanctorum, which is a trial, on Veteran Hard Mode, I believe the world record for is like 3 minutes and 12 seconds. So quite a few things can be done very quickly, even those harder types of content. So keep all those things in mind, but this is a series that I've been interested in starting. If you guys would be interested in a longer-winded series where I go over all of the hidden stat buffs in the Elder Scrolls Online, because this is not the only ones that you can get from quests. There's even some from random events that spawn in the overworld. So if you'd be interested in me covering some of those, just let me know in the comments below. And as a friendly reminder, if you don't mind to like the video and subscribe if you would like to be entered into our giveaway at the end of the month. All you have to do is be subscribed and leave as many comments as you want on as many videos as you want. And these are the winners from last month, and the next drawing is on November 1st. But the beautiful thing is, if you're subscribed, you'll be entered into every month going forward. So, head on in there and leave some comments and subscribe. But let me know what you guys think. Permanent stat buffs, do you like the idea of having quest rewards be able to give you buffs that you can reactivate over and over again? Are you upset because you've already completed these quests and had no idea that you had to finagle it in such a specific way? What are your thoughts in the comments below? Will you be using these buffs? I certainly use the other one. However, considering that the suspicious meat pie requires me to do some weird, convoluted quests, and then I have to restart the quest each time, people are less likely to use that one, it seems, versus the other one. But let me know what you guys think. What are your thoughts on it in the comments below? Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jake Clips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.